he's an above-average quarterback right now. Who knows if he can get better or whatever, right? If they don't pay him, you potentially lose him, okay? So that can hamper your franchise as well. It's more so about, okay, if you put this salary cap in place, okay, I don't have to adhere to the current way of business, the current business model. I think it's the business model that they have a problem with.
Each new guy becomes the new market standard guy, and the next guy up isn't necessarily the best guy up.
Right.
And so that's what you're saving yourself from. If you put in some sort of a cap, you know exactly what it is. There's not going to be a lot of negotiation or any of that. There's not going to be a lot of leverage. It's like, okay, top tier quarterback equates with, $48 million a year or whatever, and we know we're going to pay that, and we know it's a fixed cost. We can deal with that and what have you. What we don't want to do is like be the first team that pays $65 million for a quarterback.
Trevor Lawrence got a huge payday. He's now the highest paid quarterback, all right, in NFL history, all of that good stuff. Okay.
Resetting the market.
Next guy up. And, so there's two things going on here. So, number one, the owners are eyeing the quarterback salary cap because what's going on now is basically each new guy, no matter pretty much what level you're on, you just have to top the last guy. Yeah. Salary cap wise. So who knows what this number can get to? It's getting to crazy numbers.
Well, this is why you had rookie salary cap stuff.
Yeah,
like a rookie pay scale. That's why you had it in the NBA.
Who was that? Was that Stafford? Because remember,
I think it was. Was it Sam Bradford?
Sam Bradford.
I think.
That's
but you had it in the NBA at one point too.
Yeah.
Where it's just like every year you're the new top pick and you got to beat the prior year. And at the end of the day, okay, you're a super good prospect, but we're not sure.
Yeah.
There's a level where you haven't done it.
Yeah.
And to be tied up with these guys with that, they finally stepped in and said, hey, but any of these moves, can be read no other way than please save us from ourselves. Because we're not making good decisions and we're screwing our franchises by paying certain guys too much money.
Owners, you say, okay.
At the end of the day, any type of salary cap structure, quarterback scale is literally save me from myself. Because I haven't made good decisions and I've, torpedoed my franchise in making some of these decisions.
Is it that?
Yes.
Is it that, or is it's the way of business? And we don't agree with that way of business because.
What do you mean by way of business?
Because you're cornered. Because if he's okay, take Trevor Lawrence because he is a good study for this. He's an above-average quarterback right now. Who knows if he can get better or whatever, right? If they don't pay him, you potentially lose him. Okay, so that can hamper your franchise as well. It's not about making a right decision or that It's not about making that decision to pay him or lose him, and if that is the decision where it's going to hamper our franchise or not. It's more so about, okay, if you put this salary cap in place, okay, I don't have to adhere to the current way of business, the current business model. I think it's the business model that they have a problem with.
I think I understand where you're going with that, but I don't necessarily agree because I think the problem with this is it's the position and not trusting yourself because it's like each new guy becomes the new market standard guy. And the next guy up isn't necessarily the best guy up.
Right.
And so that's what you're saving yourself from. If you put in some sort of a cap, you know exactly what it is. There's not going to be a lot of negotiation or any of that. There's not going to be a lot of leverage. It's like, okay, top tier quarterback equates with, $48 million a year or whatever. And, we know we're going to pay that. And we know it's a fixed cost. We can deal with that and what have you. What we don't want to do is be the first team that pays $65 million for a quarterback when he's not necessarily Pat Mahomes.
You know what the potential issue is too? What kind of language are you going to put in there to determine what a top tier quarterback is? What's going to stop Trevor Lawrence agent from wanting that? And then what? We're going to have Mahomes, Lawrence, Daniel Jones making 48 a year, all of them.
Well,
Yeah.
it'll be like the NBA, where there will be a max, and if you have something resembling the guy, you're gonna pay the max for
All
him.
pro.
Yeah.
Like the NBA is like whatever.
Well,
all first
Yeah,
team.
they could tie it to
that.
performances or achievements, but they don't even necessarily have to do that. Like if you just cap out quarterback pay at $48 million a year, like it makes it simple in the sense that unless you really want to move on from the guy, you're just going to extend him at a max deal, and that's it. You know, and it is what it is. And you're not redefining the market on a ninth or 10th best quarterback in the league, which that might fit Trevor.
Yeah.
And now he's the highest paid guy. We're not going to do that. Like we'll almost look at quarterbacks in tiers and be like, okay, well, the top 10 guys are probably worth the max of whatever that is, and then the next 10 guys are probably not worth that, and the other 10 guys we're trying to find a way for them to pass away so we can replace them. I'm not quite sure the logistics, or you could go, like you said, you could go the NBA route where it's connected to your performance, and you can get kickers if you meet certain performance criteria.
Because the way it is now, I shout out to Coach. He commented. The way it is now, the only way to go about it is like the way Dallas Cowboys are going about it, and even that is risky because you got Dak, and they have went through the like, for example, for Trevor Lawrence, the Jaguars had another year or two. They could have waited. They didn't have to pay him now.
Yeah.
The issue with that is if you wait a year or two, instead of the whatever 50 it is now a year, it's going to be 60. It might be 70, 65, right. 70. Dallas Cowboys are like, okay, Dak, we're not at the $60 million a year or whatever it is now to pay a quarterback per year. We're going to wait. The issue is if you wait, the Dallas Cowboys, they are waiting. After this year, he's a pure free agent. He can go anywhere you want to go after this season. You can't tag him. You can't do anything. Right. Okay? So you're at the mercy of what other teams would want to pay him, okay? And if he wants to come back to Dallas. But as it's currently constructed, that's the way you have to do it. Because he's a good quarterback, but he didn't get you where you wanted to go last year. And he some of that was on him.
Yeah, no, I think, we've talked about this a ton. The quarterback, like truly great quarterback, you could pay whatever and it's going to be a bargain.
Yeah.
But there's just not that many guys. And all these other dudes, you're kind of forced to pay these really high market value, or you're forced to extend guys on deals that are going to maybe take them past their prime or whatever. At the end of the day, you could like certain things about Dak, and I think I watched the Jags closely this year. Trevor's good, but he's definitely not great.
Right.
There's too many mistakes. There's too many dead possessions, and it's just like he's not irreplaceable. And like teams have operated for a long time out of fear. When they get something resembling a franchise quarterback, face a franchise guy, they're petrified to lose him.
Yeah.
The Ravens went through it.
Yeah.
And the reality is Lamar had a fantastic season. And he shit the bed in the playoffs like he always does. And so they're really no better than they've ever been. Like, what did we just do this for?
Yeah.
Now they rolled the dice. He went out into the market. He could have got some offers. They, found a dead market. And, most of the year when he's playing great, everybody looked bad. When he played poorly in the playoff, it's like, okay, this is why he is what he is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cold reality. But, like, if you're not going to be a championship level guy, and you have to have pieces around you or whatever, but like you can't be the reason the team fails.
Yeah.
No matter what those pieces are, if you're a championship guy, you can't be the reason the team fails.
Exactly.
And too many of these guys are. There's not a lot of greatness, and that's what we've got to realize. There's just not a lot.
No.
And again, Trevor Lawrence is a guy, unanimous number one player in the country coming out of high school. National champion as a freshman. If he was draft eligible that year, he would have been top pick. He was the top pick the second he was draft eligible. He's had a kind of an up and down start. He showed some promise the year before last, but other than that, the play's been pretty neutral. And I wouldn't be super high about making him the highest paid quarterback in football.
Yeah, especially not when I didn't have to.
Yeah.
you like I said, I stand firm on if you gotta wait it out and you gotta see, and if you have to pay a guy 60, 65, whatever it is, then you have to fucking do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the Dallas Cowboys, they're fully prepared to do that. The problem with them is they have 3 premier guys that they're waiting on. I wouldn't suggest that. With Michael Parsons and the receiver CD and Dak, they have to pay them all at the end of this year, which is just not going to be possible.
They'll have to gut the roster in other areas.
You know what I mean?
To do that, yeah. And that's why I despise the salary cap in football. I just I don't like, as a fan, I don't like a situation where, players can develop in a situation and then, like, literally once you pay people, you got to let people go.
It's too much money in football for that to even be a fucking thing. Yeah. At the very least, go back to the NBA old model where you can go over the salary cap if that's your player.
You can have like proprietary rights on certain players and
at least move to that model.
Yeah. And I do think, there really is an art to selecting and developing players, particularly later in the draft. And, when you talk about, like, the work the Chiefs did, recently with some of the guys, McDuffie and Pacheco and Snead, and had to let Snead go.
We had to let Snead go.
And that's a shame.
Yeah, we got Snead in, the 4th round, 3rd or 4th round?
That's an absolute shame to the game of football. Like, he's in a great situation to perform individually, and, now he's got to go somewhere else and secure a bag. And I hate it. I just hate it. It's just not the way.
We had to choose between him and Chris Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you think they did on that anyway? That decision? Yeah, I think you have to go Chris.
Chris is such a key guy to that team, that locker room. I mean, he brings an element of just, great performance on the field, but also great personality.
Yeah.
And that's important, man.
Yeah.
I think that's underestimated. Hurley talks about it a lot. If you have one bad character in the locker room, it changes the whole dynamic of what you're doing, and it's true.
Yeah.
There's a special thing when you get a group that's connected, and you got to value that above anything else in team sport.
No, you do.